Yes. Good morning, students. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
sir.
Yes,
Good
sir.
morning,
Good
sir.
morning.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We are starting with the topic Corynebacterium diphtheria. In the last class, we had some of the information. We'll have just a review about the last class and we'll continue with the topic. Actually, Corynebacterium diphtheria. This word was derived from Greek word, which indicates leather hide inside. This is mainly one of the gram positive and aerobic one, and it resembles a rod shape. Resembles a rod shape with a special dot or circle at the head end. Okay, and this name is called Corynebacterium diphtheria. It's a exotoxin production only if infected by virus phage infected carrying toxin gene. That means this is having from outside it used to produce. Once it enter inside the host body, that virus used to get infected and they used to produce the toxin from gene to gene, or they can able to having the capability to destroy the chromosome and to carry forward as a mutant. So Corynebacterium. So we'll come for Corynebacterium. Exactly, this is morphology of the Corynebacterium diphtheria. They belongs to the category of gram positive. They are non-acid fast and non-motile. They are having irregular stained with granules. That granules, particularly if you want to say, means it resembles a club-shaped swelling at one or both end of the rod. That means it's a club-shaped swelling, or we can say that a dot circle, which was present at the head and tail end or at any one end of the rod. So once you are coming for this, this is having a special identification. That is, once we come for the importance of pathogen, Corynebacterium diphtheria and diphtherios meaning leather. This indicates the identification clearly under the staining method. The next is what is diphtheria? Diphtheria, an infection of local tissue of upper respiratory tract. Diphtheria is a airborne one. So it first entry is upper respiratory tract. So there it used to affect the local tissues. Okay, so there which area the site of affection, that area the toxin used to produce systematic effects on heart and peripheral tissue. That means from the upper respiratory tract that used to descend down into the lower respiratory tract. From the lower respiratory tract they will enter into the capillary bed and they will enter to the circulation. That via that way they will reach the heart. After the heart they will be reaching to the systematic circulation, so it is easy for them to enter into the peripheral tissues. Peripheral means the distal end of the tissue, each and every corner of the body. Okay, so definition of this diphtheria: diphtheria is an acute toxin mediated disease caused by toxigenic Corynebacterium diphtheria, or we can say that diphtheria is an acute toxin mediated disease caused by Corynebacterium diphtheria. It is very contagious and potentially life-threatening bacterial disease. Potentially life-threatening bacterial disease. Okay. So definition once again you can say it is a localized infectious disease which usually attack the throat and nose mucous membrane. The causative organism is Corynebacterium diphtheria. So this is the only causative organism, Corynebacterium diphtheriae. Okay, so which is having a pleomorphic club end, then non-spore forming, non-acid form and non-motile. The major virulence determinant is an exotoxin. This it comes from the outside. Then diphtheria toxin. After binding to the host cell, the active subunit will interrupt the protein synthesis of the target host cell and result in cell death. That means the toxin used to Example, you can see here, this toxin used to affect the cells. After affecting the cells, which area they are affecting? They are actively interrupting the protein synthesis of the cell. After actively interpreting that, the target of the host cell will get destroyed. That will result in cell death. Okay, so that means the once the diphtheria enter inside the body, they will target that host cell. The tissue will be affected. How they will affect? They will interfere in the protein synthesis of the cells or tissue. Then they will destroy the protein synthesis. So automatically the host cell will get distracted, and that will leads to cell death. Okay, so there are three biotypes under this etiological factor. This toxin effects are having three biotypes. In that three biotypes, first one is gravis, second one is intermedius, and the third one is mitis. Gravis, intermedius, and mitis. These are the three biotype of this toxin effect. So the entry of the bacilli multiply locally in the throat and elaborate a powerful exotoxin, produce local and systematic symptoms. So over that, if you are coming for local lesions, exotoxin causes necrosis of the epithelial cells and liberates serous and fibrinous material which forms a grayish white pseudo membrane. Example, if you are seeing, once it enter into the throat, inside the throat, the epithelial cells, that is the mucous membrane, were present. Once it enter inside the throat, the mucous membrane necrosis will take place. So that means infection and inflammation. Automatically mucous membrane will get thickened, the liberated fibrinous material, which gives a color of grayish white. The mucous membrane will get thickened grayish white, which is called pseudo membrane of the throat. Where this will be present? At the site of infection, the bleeds are being dislodged, surrounding tissue is inflamed and edematous. This is the normal phenomena of inflammation process. For that, our body is responding for the same. Excuse me. Our body is responding for the same. So how this will get affected? So this is example. You can see here. This was enter inside the throat. You can see this area. This is the palatine medium, or we can say that ileum. This particular area. This is called fauces the arch. So here you can able to see that two arches formation. Two arches formation. You can see here two arches formation. This two arches formation in this two pillar of mucous membrane that used to get anteriorly also and posteriorly also. That is example, you can see anteriorly and posteriorly. That means you can see here anteriorly this arch used to get inflamed, posteriorly near to the vulva this arch also used to get inflamed. Okay, in this area thickened mucous membrane will present. At the same time, this cell wall, all the area used to get inflamed. Okay, with due to this the individual feel very difficult in speaking as well as swallowing also. This is called fauces. This is the initial type of infection. Okay, you can see this is the exactly formation how the infection and inflammation will present. That is the palatine tonsils, these areas, and this is the arch where you can able to see the first arch and the second arch. This is anterior one and this is posterior one. So this is the posterior one. Sorry, this is the posterior one. You can see here. This one is the posterior one and this one is the anterior one. Okay, this is exactly clearly visible for you. Okay, the next local manifestation. Next one is local manifestation. अभी जो हमने देखा था, as per this nasal diphtheria. that is unilateral or bilateral. Either one or two will be affected at the nose. Then from there it start to get furthermore fading into the upper lips. So in this nose and in the lip, what you can able to identify? You can able to identify that redness and swelling over the particular area. Okay. So once the nose and lips got affected, then it is furthermore descending to the throat. That is, we can say that the pharynx area, or we can say that's the phoceal or the phoceal area. The phoceal area is two arch which is present. So here you can able to see that redness, swelling over the fauces, that will be present. Then tonsils automatically they used to get enlarged. Then there the grayish white pseudo membrane you can able to identify at the side, these two sides. Grayish white membrane you can able to identify, which indicate exactly by physical examination you can able to confirm that this is the infection of diphtheria. Okay, so this is called grayish white layer. These areas, the two blue arrows indicates. So this is the noticed as pseudo membrane in the posterior pharynx, and it can become very large and may obstruct the airway also. And due to this, what happened? The throat will get dryness also. Same like that right now, how the viral infection of corona is present, same like that. But here you can able to identify that pseudo membrane. Okay, so Corynebacterium diphtheria. If you want to say how this looks, it looks like slender rod having a clubbing at both ends. That we can say that a dot-like circle at the both end. Then this is having a pleomorphic one, non-capsulated and non-acid fast, then gram-positive. Then granules are composed of polymetaphosphate, then staining with low-flush methylene blue, where you can able to identify in the form of bluish purple metachromatic granules with polar bodies. That means the staining technique, low-flush techniques, particularly methylene blue, if you are using only, you can able to identify this particular Corynebacterium diphtheria. It looks like this. Example you can see. I'll reduce the size. It looks like this. You can able to see the rod at both the end. You can able to see that it is having a club formation, or you can say that it is having a dot-like structure which was formed. So staining method, Grams method, Albers staining and Nissery staining and Ponder staining you can able to use. On staining you can able to see that either they will be present in pairs or appear as V shape, or we can say that L shape, or we can say that it is resemblance of a Chinese letter, that is called cuneiform arrangement. Cuneiform arrangement means resembles somewhat looks like a Chinese letter, either V or L shape or resembles a Chinese letter. So all these staining methods you can able to use. Along with this, you want to use the low flush methylene blue agent. Low flush methylene blue agent, when once you are using the staining agent, you can able to identify this particular microorganism. Okay, culture characteristics. Need enriched media contain blood, serum or egg. Okay, with a temperature of 37 degrees Celsius and pH of 7.4. So culture characteristics, what are the things needed? It need a enrichment media. Enrichment media बोलो तो this should contain a favorable one for it. So what are the favorable one? This is favorable in cultivating in the blood or in the serum or in the egg with a temperature of 37 degrees Celsius and with a pH of 7.4. So what they are? They are aerobic one and facultative anaerobic. That means few can able to survive in the carbon dioxide also, but majority can able to survive in the oxygenated. So it means that majority they can able to easily transfer via the air from spread from one person to another person easily. Then commonly used medium are low flush, serum slope and teluterate blood agar. That means they are using either serum or blood agar. You can able to see that gram-positive bacilli how they are cultivated. So here what happened? They will take the slides. After taking the slides, they used to scratch like this. This is a blood agar. They will scratch like this. After scratching like this, what they will do? they will place I'll show you. They will place particularly at one end, they will place the sample of the microorganism. So like this they will place here. After that they will maintain this one with a temperature of 37 degrees Celsius and pH of 7.4. After maintaining this, what happen? After a particular duration, it may be 24 hours to 72 hours or beyond that. It depends on the microorganism. So what will happen? This layers used to get excess colony formation. It forms like this. Excess colony formation which will be observed under the microscope with favorable temperature and favorable culture media. So here they had used the bled medium or bled agar. You can say that low flux bled agar. So like this you can able to identify where the temperature has to be maintained. So before they had just scratched a single line and placed at one end only. Later we can able to identify excess amount of microorganism has been cultivated or colonies formations of the particular microorganism. Okay, so here what will happen? We should always use the selective and differential media. Corynebacterium are resistant to territorite, so reduced to territorium, so forms deposit in colonies. Colonies appears dark in color. Then biotypes, under the dark in color you can able to identify the biotypes by doing the study of toxin variations, which is in the form of gravis, intermedius and mitis. Growing on cultural plates, particularly here they are using the low flux serum one. This is serum one. Here you can able to see that omelette like structure, that is blisters, will be identified under the serum, or you can say that under the egg yolk or under the egg, where that turns the yellow one into the blisters like formation. How many duration it takes? It takes 6 to 8 hours after placing the sample with a proper temperature maintenance, that is 37 degrees Celsius and pH 7.4. Okay, so this is the commonly used one, either bled agar or they are using the serum territorite. The next, toxins. Under the toxins you can able to see that pathogenicity associated with the toxins are gravis and intermediates. You can able to identify that 95 to 99% are toxigenic, and mitis you can able to see that 80 to 85%. Some are abundant, others poorly. That means some either gravis or mitis, some any one will get excessively more toxic and remaining one will get automatically subside. Okay, so either gravis is getting toxin, intermediates and mitis will not get harmful, or they will be very less effective or less harmful when compared to the gravis. So under this 3-1, any one will be more effective. So resistance, if you are seeing, this can able to be killed at 58 degrees Celsius in 10 minutes. Okay, or you can able to see that at a temperature of 100 degrees Celsius in 1 minute, you can able to destroy or kill the microorganism. That is 58 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes and 100 degrees Celsius for 1 minute. Okay, these microorganisms can able to survive even in blankets, floor, dust, then toys and inanimate objects. They can able to easily survive. So once the environment where the client who was infected, that particular environment, we should see that it is a highly infectious one and easily spreadable. The person, those who are getting contact with the particular area. Okay, so pathogenicity, if you are taking bacteria invade, after invading they'll form the colonies. After forming the colonies, they used to get proliferate, that is used to get migrate furthermore inside. So bacteria are lysogenized by beta phase and produce toxins. That means once they enter inside the cells, they will destroy the protein synthesis and they will start to take the power of the particular cell. After taking the power of the particular cell, the cell will lose its life. After that, they used to get migrate or proliferate into the other cells. There, each and every cell, what they used to do, they used to produce toxin, they used to kill them. How they will kill? They will kill the epithelial and neutrophils. So that produces inflammation, or we can say that example here they had quoted pharynx. So pharyngitis, infection and inflammation of the pharynx, and cutaneous lesion, that is the mucous membranes and the layers associated with them. Okay, these areas will be affected. Then the incubation period, if you are taking, once you get contact, it takes 3 to 4 days, or sometimes even 1 day also, it will show the signs and symptoms. So what are the signs and symptoms you can able to identify? You can able to identify the focal, then nasal or laryngeal or optic or conjunctiva or genital or vulva or cutaneous areas where the infection and inflammation will be present. Along with that grayish white, you can able to identify the pseudomonas membrane, you can able to identify. Then diphtheria is a toxemic condition, malignant severe toxemia, then adenitis, bull neck, circulatory failure, then septic gangrene and pseudomembrane. These things you can able to identify. So along with that, you can able to see that hemorrhagic, then epistaxis, then purpura. These are the infectious signs and symptoms which you can able to identify. That means the site of infection where it is present, those area used to get problematic. This will interfere in the hemorrhage, that is bleeding. The next, this will be present in the epistaxis, that is bleeding will be present in the nose or in the gums or in the pharyngeal areas. The purpura. So how it will be? Generally, the bleeding tendency will be present. That will initiate the asphyxia, then acute circulatory failure, then paralysis, then pneumonia, then septic shock, then otitis media, toxemia, then necrotic changes, then death. This is the usually identification under the lab, which they had tested under the guinea pigs. What they identified? The pig used to get bleeding, then the pig used to get asphyxia, then the pig used to get acute circulatory failure. Then the identified paralysis was present. Along with that paralysis, the lung pneumonia were present. Then septic shock they had identified. Then otitis media they had identified. Then toxemia, that is the infection of the blood, has identified. The next they had identified that necrotic changes, that entire body was got infected, automatically the pig died. So this is the normal pathogenicity they identified into the lab test. So this is about today's class. Remaining we will see in the next class. So today class we had saw what is Corynebacteria, then what are the causes, then how usually they used to get infected. Okay, then the staining method, then the culture characteristics. After the culture characteristics, the toxin, then the resistant and pathogenicity, with the example of guinea pig. So this is about today's topic till the pathogenicity. Tomorrow we will see about, that means in the next class we'll see about the signs and symptoms in the human, how this used to produce the clinical features. After the clinical features, next we want to see about the lab investigation. After the lab investigation, we want to see about the we can say the treatment, then prevention. Okay, so still we have to see about the clinical manifestation or pathogenicity in humans system wise, then about the lab investigation, then about the treatment and prevention. Still 4 topics pending in this way. Okay, 1 minute, let me check for the attendance. I will share this PPT in the group.